can check. We talked about the industrial relations code, and we finished. Yes. I think we finished with the industrial relations code. Except maybe the last, we may not have gone through the last slide. We now know all the laws that actually relate to enforcement of international relations. I deliberately captured these because these are the main ones. Although, when we talk of the Industrial Relations Court, it also will attract interpretation of other laws to make sure that their findings and judgments are in order. But the main ones regarding industrial relations are Labor or Industrial Relations Act, the Employment Act, the Workers' Compensation Act, the Factories Act, Occupational Health and Safety Act, and also the Mines and Minerals Act. These are the main ones that they deal with. The court itself looks at unfair dismissal as provided by the law. The complainant comes to the Industrial Relations Court. In most instances, it is not expected that if you are unfairly dismissed, you go to the Industrial Relations Court. First, you go to the labor officer. If you have failed to sort out the problem with the labor officer, the labor officer will refer the matter, the unresolved matter, to the Industrial Relations Court, stating the reason why the matter is being appealed. Or it will be by either appeal against the labor officer, because what happens is that labor officer acts as what? If you want to know, what does the labor officer act as? The labor officer is an arm of government, isn't it? Remember when we are talking about the Ministry of Labor, we have the Labor Commissioner, under the Labor Commissioner, the labor officers. So he acts or she acts as a third party. And crossway, maybe I'm correct in Kijelo. And crossway, that one sounds a little bit better. And crossway, if it is the marriage. So when he acts as a crossway, and the two parties, the employee and the employer, or the employee's representative and the employer, if they don't agree, sometimes the labor officer may not be comfortable to refer the matter. You can go on appeal basis to the Industrial Relations Court as an appeal. You know, appeal to the higher court? Appeal means you take the matter to the higher court. So the Industrial Relations Court is headed by a judge of the High Court of Malawi. So it belongs to the judicial system in the country. One thing I wanted also us to complete our discussion was, how does the court protect the interests of the workers? Here you have to be very, very attentive to know what happens. When you are talking of worker and employer, between these two, who is more powerful than the other? Between the worker or employee and the employer, who is more powerful? Employer. Why? Why is the employer more powerful?
Because he's the one who provides.
He is the boss and he is the one who employed the employee. He has the right to hire and fire. Okay? Now, this being the case, in employment cases, an employer is legally compelled to give an employee a right to be heard in a case of misconduct or incapacity, as in section 57, don't worry about that, of the Employment Act. But it means that in any case, the employee has a corresponding duty to say something in his or her defense when faced with an allegation or misconduct. What it means there is that since the employer is the boss in the industrial court, when you have given your statement, right? You have stated your case in the court will examine the statement from the employer and the statement from the employee. Because the employee is weaker in standing, the court will order the employer to prove beyond reasonable doubt that his facts are correct. You understand me? You understand? Okay. I'm saying the reason is that the employer has more power than the employee. Isn't it? He is the boss. So when you have given, the employee will give his statement. The employer will give his statement. When the court weighs the two, the court refers back to the employer to provide facts of the evidence beyond reasonable doubt that what he says is correct other than what the employee has said. There is more weight to make the employer prove his case than the employee because they want to protect the weaker party. So when a case goes to the Industrial Relations Court, if you are representing the employer, have this in mind. Could you quote again for some if it is supposed to have evidence in form of data, information, statements, all those things should be properly documented so that you can prove to the court beyond reasonable doubt that this employee misconducted himself. So this is an important element because it makes the court protect the employee. But there are certain cases which are completely obvious. For instance, theft. You know theft? Waba. Two, what are the others? Assault. You know assault? One, three, corruption. What about number four? Can you think of others? These examples are important because when you are being asked, you will be requested to give examples. So these examples make, once there is evidence on these examples, the court will have no option but to to let the sentence fall on the employee. So if it is dismissal, they will say sorry. Atimweni anakuchosa nchito basi hata si munaba, we've got evidence. Munachita assault mzani, we've got evidence. Are we in agreement? Are we together?
Yes.
We are. So I would like to move from this one. Therefore, the next one is labor. I think we did labor management, didn't we? Did we look at the personnel manager?
Yes.
We did.
Yeah.
How does the personnel manager promote industrial peace? We did.
Yes.
Okay. And we had a summary to maintain or promote peaceful industrial relations at the workplace. Right? Did we go through this? No. Okay? To us, in fact, when we talk of labor management, the main issues that we discuss are the role of the personnel manager and how the manager helps to promote peace and harmony in our workplace or industrial peace. So if that is the case, the personnel manager will usually do these things: planning and budgeting, organizing, directing and controlling. It is also known, it encompasses activities such as recruitment, hiring, training, performance management. You know performance management? Do you know what it is? When they are saying you are going to be appraised in your job. You people have never been employed before, isn't it? You have. Have you ever been employed?
Yes.
Okay. For those people who have been employed, they know. But those who have not been employed, when you are engaged, you go through induction. You know induction? To induce you, acclimatize you to the workplace. Huh? Or if at higher level, you go through orientation. This is our finance department, this is our operations department, this is our general manager, this is our manager for this. This is your job, you'll be working with these people. All that is part of the induction. They normally give them months of probation. You know probation? Have you ever heard of probation? Yeah, probation. Probation, normal instances is 3 months. For some higher level jobs, it's about 6 months. Very high jobs, 3 years. During probation, it means these people are looking at how you are performing your job. While you are performing your job, they are watching to see whether you know your job. At the end of 3 months, they come up to appraise you, to evaluate whether you are able to work in that position so that they can confirm you in the job. That is performance, part of performance management. Are we clear there? Performance management. Others will call it performance appraisal. Then employee relations. People will be looking at how you interact with your colleagues at work. Some of you will be forced to work in teams. You know teams? Groups. You work in groups. How do you interact with each other? Some people are naturally bad characters. They don't like to work with other people. But others, they excel very well working with other people. So they sometimes even try to see whether you are able to work with other people. And then it also involves compensation and benefits administration. Compensation here includes allowances, wages, salaries, bonuses, anything that is paid to you in monetary terms to make sure that you can work in your workplace. So this is the job of a personnel manager. I was asking your colleague before you came, the lady here, to say, what do you want to become? She didn't disclose to me. Did you disclose to me what you want to become? I should disclose. Anyway, what I was saying is, each one of you should have ambition. You should have a vision of what you want to become in the future. Is it? Even aim to become president. Why not? Aim at the stars, you will reach the treetops. You know this adage. Aim at the stars, but you will reach the treetops. You don't know it? No? This is the problem because I've got too many classes. So it's not very fair. Let me see if I can. I just want to make an illustration so that it sticks in your head. You don't have Zorendera for this. Right. When we say aim at the stars and you reach the treetops, what we mean is who is this? Who do you think is this?
Yes.
Justin. Which is Justin? Him? Who is Justin? Ah, yes. That is Justin. Yes. Okay? Then you have this. What is this?
A tree.
A tree. What are these? Stars. Okay? This is tree. This is Justin. Hey.
Very good.
Eh? Justin. So Justin has a stone. My one stone. If he aims this stone at the stars, it's directly like he said. When he throws it, will it fall on the stars?
No.
Where will it fall? Lower. It will go like this. And it will fall here. Why is it? What happens to this? What pulls the inertia of the stone? Have you done some physics?
I have gravity first.
Eh?
Gravity.
Gravity. Yes, gravity. So because of gravity, it will fall on the treetop. If he had thrown this star and aims at the treetop, where will it fall? It will fall in the branches. It will go like this. Because of the same gravity, it will fall on a branch. That's why they say, be ambitious, aim at the stars. so that you can reach the treetop. Does that make sense? It does. So have a vision which makes you aim at the stars. So how does the personnel manager promote industrial peace? We said, one, the manager heads the personnel department, and he often uses HR representatives to specialize in labor relations, also known as industrial relations. The manager and HR representatives help in maintaining matters relating to employees and unions. These include contract negotiations. You understand what we mean by contract negotiations? When you are employed, they tell you we are paying you in this job as such and such. You should be coming here 7:30, knocking off 5 o'clock with a lunch break of 1 hour between 12 and you will be paid so much money. That is the contract. So you negotiate the contract. Okay? Arbitration and mediation processes. We are going to look at these specifically. Grievance handling procedures. Have you ever heard of grievance handling procedures? Sometimes there are certain things which the organization does which the employees don't like. It could be one employee or it could be a number of employees. You understand? So those grievances must be brought before the personnel manager, where with representation, if you have a union, they will discuss, and looking at the procedures to follow, they will resolve the grievance. I don't want to go into detail because we are going to deal with them separately. Handling strikes and unrests. In fact, we should increase our understanding. You remember strikes? What's the difference between a strike and an unrest? What is a strike?
Demonstration.
It's a demonstration, yes. But what is involved? It is exactly where the workers agitate to say, we don't want to continue working, we have stopped working until you listen to our grievances and resolve them. That is a strike. What about unrest? What did you say? Okay. In a strike, it means you have already presented your case to management. You have tried to see whether you can talk and come to a resolution. But if management still don't listen, all of you workers, you come together, maybe under the banner of the trade union, to say, we have stopped work. That is a strike. And normally you apply to government to say, on such and such a day, we are starting our strike for 5 days or whatever it is. Okay? In an unrest, you have a grievance, but you have no means of communicating with management about your complaint. But because it is serious and it affects all of you, you just come forward and say, as we are here, you have to close any humanitarian blockade, lockout, blockade. It turns into something that is not legal and it is not allowed. Legally, it's not allowed. And era amangu kuponya myala chanchani kugenda magari entoku kuyesa kwamenya manager. You know all that. That is an unrest. And if I gave you some of the examples I had myself as a rebel officer, and some of the methods we used, I still preach about them, but I'm not going to spend time with them. Amafuna kutuochera gani ya bomba kuma estate. So, grievance handling procedures, handling strikes and unrest, and handling collective bargaining processes in negotiations on behalf of the employer. Okay? So the personnel manager has all these important issues. So to culminate to what the personnel are doing, one of the jobs is job design. Do you know what job design is? Job design. No. Can someone attempt? Every job has its own job design. I'll give you an example. When you identify a need for a person to be employed in a job will be a set of activities that that person will be doing when he is employed or she is employed. What do we produce? A job description. You know what a job description is? Job description. Now, the job description will be containing the activities that this person is doing. I will show you how you can design a job. I will just give an example of a job design. Let's assume the job is messenger. You know messenger? Messenger. What will he be doing? Let's try it. Have you seen a messenger? What does it do? Take mail to post office or customers. Take files from offices. Then print documents. Do you see these things? This is a messenger, mind you. So when you are designing the job of a messenger in a job design, let's assume you have an upstairs building. Hey, upstairs. This is an upstairs building. Ground floor, you have a reception, isn't it? Top floor, you have restaurant for the staff. Here you have general manager. Here you have managers. Here you have technicians. In job design, for the messenger to do his job properly, where will you locate him? Where will you locate the messenger? Reception. Okay. You You say, here is the reception, somewhere there will be his chair. With the receptionist. This is where you want. Why do you want to put it at the reception? There will be reasons. Eh? I will tell you. In the reception, there is also general office, where there are printers, faxes, phones, public. Okay? Now, if you don't locate his job under your job design in the reception and you put him, let's assume here at the technicians, when he wants to do print jobs, what will he be doing?
Going downstairs.
He will be coming down here to get things from the general manager here, going up, going down here to print, and then going up to the technicians, and so on. It will be too cumbersome, isn't it? You must make sure that his job is near. You see? So that's part of the job design. This is just a simple example. So each job has its own job design. When they say front office, you can't have front office or reception up here. Can you have front office here or reception? It has to be, because you are welcoming visitors, directing them to the general manager, and so on. Do you think it's important to have the general manager's office up there? What do you think? General manager. Kumika Kutango, 15th floor. Is that fair for him? Normally, the general manager will be at the end of the day. Yemo mwika kutani, mina mwidu mangisi, aende pasi, mchokera pasi, mpaka pamuanga. Kutima yuka kutuma technician, nyamana. Ma manager, general manager, at least, pafupi mid ground floor. Mkonvesa? Boardroom will be next to the general manager. So that is part of the job design. Then job recruitment, I think this one is simple. Job placement. After recruitment, you deploy people to where they are going to work. That's job placement. In employee relations, you remember I talked about induction, orientation, then performance management. You remember I mentioned about performance management, training and staff development, and also talent management. Talent management, it shows that this organization, the skills required are these. But our people are lacking this. Therefore, can we send them to school or to a training or to workshop to learn these things so that they can manage their talent properly. So, that was culminating on how, on the role of the personnel manager and labor management. So now we can start thinking about industrial disputes. Already we have heard what industrial disputes are, isn't it? What have I said so far about industrial disputes? What are they? Industrial disputes. What are they? Justin, what are industrial disputes?
By definition,
Eh?
a
Examples or definition.
Definition. What is an industrial dispute?
It's a disagreement.
Hey. It is a disagreement, a misunderstanding. There is conflict between the employer and the employee. Once you start knowing the concepts, even when you are writing, whether it's an essay or exam, it becomes very simple. So we can say industrial disputes refer to disagreements or conflict of interest between the worker and the employer and the manager. In our context, an industrial dispute can also be the dispute or disagreement over conditions of the employment, such as you don't agree on wages, you don't agree on the amount of bonus being offered to you, you don't agree on promotions. Do you think there is also room for disagreement on promotions?
Yes.
What happened? Once I did face this myself, I was in charge of a large group of consultants. When it came to promotion, they took one of my juniors to become my boss. You understand? So I asked the board of directors to say, why did you do this? They said, no. Come, we will show you the results. The whole process. There were about 4 or 5 people who applied for this. I was number 1. But decisions came from up. You understand when we say decisions came from up to say, no, give it to this one. And it was the chairman who was saying, no, it's not us. We did this. These are the results. You were the best. But decisions came from us. What do you think I did? I had a disagreement with the organization. Anyway, I did resign, but I cleverly left the organization for another organization where I was given a higher position. You know, you have to be, organizations have their own politics. You know that, eh? So, in our context, this is what we mean. Also, disagreements over promotions, leave days, sick leave, allowances, working hours, and holidays. When we look at working hours, I'm just trying to provoke your thinking. If you were the employee, I am the employer, your aim will be to work more or less hours. Less, yes. While I would want you to work more hours. Now, there is conflict of interest. So if there is a conflict of interest, we must make sure that we find a way of balancing the two, so that somewhere we should agree which should be our hours of work for the employees. So most disputes of this nature are civil disputes. Remember, I talked about the civil cases and the criminal cases. Most of the industrial relations disputes are civil disputes. And when the dispute between the two individuals terminate, in some instances, the dispute between the two individuals can actually terminate into a criminal offense. You remember the cases we looked at? Can you give a case where civil dispute can actually culminate into a criminal offense. Okay? There was an example given. In the organization, we have a plumber. A plumber works with water. He does his job the best to his ability and fixes the plumbing, but he doesn't do it correctly or properly. What it has done is somewhere there is leakage of water, and that water has caused an explosion. You understand? It has caused an explosion and somebody dies. It will be a civil case where this person must pay damages to the person or the people who are affected. This is fine, eh?
Yes.
So, what happens is that when it has now transformed itself into a criminal offense, it's because now what he has done, the case is not against an individual, it's against him. Remember, in criminal cases, you commit the offense against the state. In civil cases, it's between the two of you. So when it is now a case involving the state, it means they will try the case as a criminal offense. Come with this. There are other examples which probably might be better than this one. So, there can be a criminal dispute when it concerns a criminal activity and therefore concerns the public as a whole or the state. This is otherwise known as criminal matter. Now, causes of industrial disputes. In form of causes, I think we have a number of issues. In most instances, disputes arise as a result of wages and allowances, either the amount or the nature of the allowances or the wages. You know that in the organization can pay salaries. You know salaries, then wages. When it is salaries, how often is it paid? Per month. Actually, in the law, in the labor law, it says salaries must be accumulated and paid at an agreed date at a later period. So, otherwise, the legal provision is that every day you work, you must be paid, isn't it? You work today, you pay. Tomorrow, you pay. The other day, and so on. But this is cumbersome. Administratively too expensive. So they say, no, you can accumulate these salaries, the daily salaries, and you pay at the end of the month. It becomes very simple, right? Whereas wages, you can decide to pay every day to laborers. You know laborers? hajapa gate, amango kapa gate, why gani you pay as soon as you do that, is it? Comma ena, you have employed. You can say, okay, you are our laborer, we will pay you every week or every 2 weeks. So, because of these different modalities, there's a lot of chances of there being disagreements in terms of how much you are paid to somebody or not. You know that if it is salary, it is fixed, isn't it? When it is wages, they calculate how many days you have worked in the month, or in the week, or in the fortnight. So sometimes mwina ntawizina sabu kulipirani masiku ena and so on. So disputes arise. Also due to personnel policies. Okay. If the policy for recruitment is on merit because of equal opportunity policy, and yet you find that the personnel manager or whoever it is employs his cousin, is there no room for dispute there? Do you think the people can dispute?
Yes.
Mukuganiza zimuchitika zimene. It's part of corruption, isn't it? People can rise up to say, no, uyu akungozazi some company many as bad. See? So, out of policies, disputes can arise. Bonuses, yes. In fact, in most of our organizations, I think what they have now, in most of them, is the 13th check. You know the 13th check?
Yes.
Now, the 13th check is saying every month you are going to receive your monthly pay. But in December, you get the 13th check. Why? Why? To help you, because Zofunikira December, Christmas is Kuchuruka. Hey, I'll tell you how to calculate the 13th check. When you are employing somebody, you give him, let's assume, 144,000. Okay? 144. No, 140,000. This means every month, how much do you pay? That you can calculate with your computers. It's 12 months, eh? 12 months. How much will you give per month? Per month, you will receive what? Calculate, divide 12 into this, 140.
140 is annual?
Yes. 140,000. So per month, it will be
11,600.
9
11,700.
or 11,600. Okay. Now, when you have offered him the job, Mukumva, you as the personnel manager, you are saying, in here we have a policy of paying bonus. Our bonus is 1 month's salary. Is that not so? So you say instead of dividing by 12, divide by 13. What do you get? 9,700. Or 10,700. So when you are employing that gentleman, whether he's a messenger or something, you tell him your salary per month will be 10,700, but you are entitled to the 11th check, which is the 13th check. You will get the same 10,700 at the end of it. Have you understood my explanation? Or you haven't? In your plan, you have this amount of money which you want to pay to this messenger. Okay? You have this amount of money per annum, but you haven't employed him, is it? Now you know you want to employ him. He should be employed with a bonus because we are paying bonus. Therefore, divide this by 13. That's it. You are not having any extra money from anywhere else. The 13th check is still his salary. But a lot of people don't know how to come to the 13th check. And in principle, it works very well because the people, the employees, feel very, very good because they think the organization is taking care of them. Also, conditions of work, I think you know that. Poor management, some trade union matters, working hours, I already explained, management policies and politics. A lot of disputes actually emanate from these areas. So, how do you resolve the disputes? This is very important because I'm quite sure, even in the exam, we cannot fail to come up with a question on this one. There are a lot of methods that can be used for resolving industrial disputes. First one is mediation. Mediation? Can you try on mediation?
Okay, it's when there is disagreement maybe between employer and his employees. So employees ask for mediator,
Mediator, yeah.
labor officer, maybe to help them to resolve the conflict.
Good. That's excellent. Actually, in mediation, there is still need for a third party to come, like you said, government, a labor officer. However, in mediation, he is only bringing the two of you together. See, you are in dispute. Chimakaji mozi simunakwatire. Ife tinakwatira tikuziva kuti tazina mumatani.
This one, right?
O anakwatira. Mukayambana ndiya muna tazina simufuna kuyakuisana. Ne mwina yuyo katenga ankazi. Makatenga ankazi. Ankosu. But in this case, Akara Ankosu. But I'm saying either the brother to your husband, the sister to your husband, to come and talk to you people. In mediation, the mediator's role is just to bring the two of you together so that you can start talking to each other because you will not talk. So there is mediation, there is adjudication. Have you ever heard of this word, adjudication? No? Okay. Arbitration, administrative dispute resolution, collective bargaining, yes, you can use that one as well. Conciliation, negotiation, and also rights and interest arbitration. These are the numbering, but they are quick up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are about 8 methods of how disputes can be resolved. I would like you to pay a lot of attention because I'm quite sure a question will come on this one. When we call mediation is a constructive conversation between people in conflict, facilitated by a neutral third person, the mediator. Ababa tunatiana a Crossway or a Zakari. Zakari. Yeah. So the mediation provides participants an opportunity to collaboratively design creative solutions to workplace conflict and repair professional relationships. In the normal circumstances, even when you give the example of a wife and a husband, akakangani tawi zina zimatenga ntawe kuti akangirane. So the mediator comes in to make the two of you talk to each other. So mediation involves intervention of a third person or mediator into a dispute to assist the partners in negotiating jointly acceptable resolution of issues in conflict. The simple way of putting it is to say the mediator, his role or her role is to bring the two disputing parties together so that they can talk about their dispute and come to a resolution. Does the mediator play a role of trying to come up to say who is wrong or right? No. In mediation, the mediator has no role to play to say, amene walakwa ndinu amayi or ndinu amuna. No. There's no role for the mediator in mediation. However, in adjudication, this one is a little bit different. It is a dispute resolution process that allows parties to present their dispute to an independent third party to act as a judge. To act as a judge. He may not necessarily be a judge, but to act as a judge in your dispute or in the argument, to make a formal decision about the dispute in order to make a decision. Okay? Now, the conditions under adjudication are that there is a binding decision on the disputing parties long before they have come together. When you say no, kariati tinatenge muntu wapambali koma tigwirizani, muntu wapambali yo akabwera akaunika nkhani yathu ija bwinobwino chimene atagamule wopambali yo as a judge tonse tizagwirizana nacho. Is my explanation in Chichewa clear?
Yes.
Yeah? That's what it means. So, it means that you make a formal decision about the dispute in order to make a decision. And this arbitrator will look at your case and the decision made involved in the quick resolution of the dispute between the parties, and the adjudicator hears the outline of both sides of the argument and makes a fast decision, full stop. So in adjudication, it's a very quick one, because long before you meet, you agree in advance. Ngati tikupita kwa Nkhoswe, chimene akagwamule Nkhoswe titigwizana nacho. Most of these are, the examples of most of these are like divorce cases. You know divorce cases? Divorce.
Yes.
Huh? I had his wife and him wanted to divorce each other. So they had to travel, the wife from her home